So a little while ago, I shot a roll of film, and I had the intention of shooting that same roll again to achieve a double exposure effect in camera. The reason why I did this is I felt that my photography just needed a little bit of a random element, something that wasn't overthought and overplanned, and basically I just wanted to have a little bit of fun and have a little bit of experimentation and just enjoy the results for what they were. And today I just want to talk about that process a little bit. The things that I learned, the things that I could do better in the future. Obviously I'll show you the results and go through those. And if you would like to see me shoot another roll of film, double expose it, and use those improvements of the things that we're going to talk about here today, go ahead and hit that like button. If this video hits 100 likes, I'll sell a vital organ and go buy some film and double expose it again, and then show the results with you. Just on the things that we talked today, you'll be able to see the improvements that we're able to make just by analyzing our work and moving forward and experimenting and all those fun things that makes photography fun. Before we get started, if you want to learn how to do this yourself, I actually did make a video already on that, just how to set it up at home, put the film in your camera. I'll go over it just quickly in a second, but definitely go check that video out. It's really short and I think it's a pretty clear instruction on how to do this. But I'll give you a very quick overview on how I did it. So basically, I took my roll of film, I put it on my film camera, of course. I shot Hp5 from Ilford. I shot this film because, well, I had it, but also because this film can be pushed around quite a lot and still maintain its integrity when it comes to things like grain and overexposure, etc. As usual, I loaded the film in, pulled the film across, and I wound forward. When I wound forward, I made a mark on the roll of the film. So you can imagine as I wind the film on, then what I did is I marked it here, just with a regular marker. The reason why I did that is because we're gonna go then shoot this roll of film in its entirety. And then at the end, we're gonna wind it back as usual, except we're not gonna wind it all the way. We're gonna be very careful. We're gonna get right to the end. Just as we feel it wind off the spool in the camera, we'll stop. Then what we can basically do is find that line on the roll of film and reload it into our camera. The line also serves a purpose because the next time that you load the roll of film and you have the line in place, it's basically going to mean that your frames align. You want them to shoot over the top of each other. So when it comes to post-processing and having both images over the top of each other without too much overlap, this is going to help a lot. It probably won't be perfect, but it will help. If you do happen to wind it all the way back in, obviously the film will retract all the way back into the canister. There are ways to sort of fish it back out, but they're all a little bit fiddly, so hopefully you can avoid that. And essentially the next thing that I did was go out and shoot the roll. Now you want to shoot the roll at half exposure. Half exposure plus half exposure equals full exposure. And you're obviously going to shoot this roll twice. There are a few ways to half expose the roll. I won't go too deep into this. If you want to see like a really comprehensive video on how to do this, just leave a comment and I'll actually fill you out with like all the information that I did to make this work. There are many ways of half exposing, as I say. So in your camera, if you're not familiar, you'll have an exposure meter. Hopefully yours is working. It might look a little something like this. Now, usually the center is the correct exposure for the image, but as I say, we want to half expose. There are safe ways of doing this in camera settings that you can use to ensure you're going to reach half exposure pretty accurately. As I say, I wanted to wing it and have a little bit of fun. So what I did was basically just put my exposure meter somewhere between completely underexposed and correctly exposed. Another quick tip I can give you is shoot all of your images either in a portrait composition or a landscape composition. The reason why this is maybe pretty obvious, but it just, again, means your images are going to align. When it comes to processing that roll of film and scanning and things like that, it can be a little bit difficult if you are laying something that is in a portrait over a landscape. Now, another thing that I did that you'll see is I shot the entire first round of this film in completely just urban environments, just buildings and, trying to incorporate the sky for a bit of light, trying to incorporate some shadows for a bit of darkness, and experimented here and there too with a few things like slow shutters and nighttime shots. The second round, I basically only shot portraits. And the whole reason I did that is basically so I just don't have to remember. If I shot that first round of just a bunch of random things and then reloaded the film and went to shoot again, I wouldn't remember which was on which shot and, maybe get some weird overlaps. Again, that can be fun, can be very experimental. You might end up with some really interesting results. I just wanted to have basically a person in every frame and then some buildings. I didn't want, for example, buildings overlapping buildings. I'm not huge into urban and architecture photography, so basically I was just avoiding that a little bit. Another thing you can do is basically just make notes. You can write down your 36 frames and write down what you shot your entire first round, and then you'll have some idea of what you're going to get when it comes to shooting the roll a second time around. So I think that just about does it for all of our quick tips, but let's get into what we're really here for, and that is the results. So I'm just going to go over these photos here in no particular order and maybe make a few comments and a few extra things that maybe I can offer to you, that if you go out and do this, that might help you in the process. I will say that I wasn't super stoked with any of the results. There was nothing that really came out amazingly. I haven't edited these very well either, or maybe not actually at all since they were scanned. They could do with a little increase in contrast or something like that, which might help some of the subjects pop here. But otherwise, let's go ahead and go through. Nice building composition here. Otherwise, the subject didn't really play out too well. Kind of the same here. This one isn't too bad. This one I actually kind of like. You can actually see that there is a cohesiveness between the first and the second shot. Just that silhouette there, just enough to highlight the two people walking over the bridge there. This one I also like quite a lot. It could be a little less obstructive of the face of the person there in the foreground. Otherwise, I really like the slow shutter speed on the lights. It's most likely that I did that at nighttime, and it's definitely something I'd like to play with a bit more. I think it adds a really cool abstract element there. Another one that I actually quite like a lot, this one turned out pretty nice. It's a little bit busy, as I say, could have just a little extra contrast there. Should be able to get the subject to pop a little bit more, but I do like this one. Again, this one's okay. It's not perfect. The signage and everything right over the face, and I don't know, as far as like the sign wording, it's just the name of a bar here. Nothing too exciting, but it was just something I was playing around with because it was nighttime and I could play with the lights a little bit. This one is interesting. It's pretty cool, just the way that it's composed. Sort of has almost like a psychedelic element to it. I like the depth that's created there, and I feel like the more you start to stare at this one, more of the image pops out to you and little details there. And then once you really start to piece together what's actually going on, I like it. This one's nice. This one's not too bad either. I don't love the way that the subject is positioned, although one part that I do like about it, and something I can also recommend to you, is if you are able to envision it, the building there is upside down. So the building that you can sort of see up the top, it was shot at nighttime, is the cathedral here in Helsinki. It's shot upside down, so that's another thing that you can experiment with. You can shoot landscape on your camera. You can also just turn it right upside down, and you might get some weird, interesting compositions that way too. This one's okay as well. I do like the subject. It's a nice shot. I like the setting. It looks like what is actually like a gate door is not too pronounced. It could be a little bit more. If it was, it would also completely obstruct the face of the subject. I don't know how that would look. It could look cool. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more of what would be the first round of the shots of the architecture one. Just could be popped out a little bit more. Otherwise, not too bad. This one isn't great. It's a little bit confusing, just is what it is, luck of the draw really. This one also quite nice. It turned out really, really cool. I do like that it's just a little bit of the street in the bottom right corner there. It sort of lines up actually very well with the shadow that's on the subject's face there. I don't know, it kind of has this nice, almost like neo-noir feel to it. I like it. Again, on this one, I don't love the way that the subject is positioned. They could be a little bit more in that window box, and then I think it would actually be quite perfect. I love the nighttime windows that are showing through there on the building on the first round of the shot. It's a cool idea. I think I'll try it again if I go for something like this. Not too bad, a little bit abstract, kind of like it. I like the angles that it has. A little bump of contrast, might save this one. This one's actually kind of cool too if you take a second to look at a few of the details. I do like the city composition that's going on there, and if you look in the grayer and darker areas of the building, you'll actually maybe be able to make out a jazz band there. So yeah, it's a nice composition of ideas. The city and jazz, they go hand in hand. So yeah, I like this one. It's cool. Kind of nice, kind of simple. There's not much to it, but you can see the sort of superimposed cross on the right-hand side of the image there. It's very minimal. Not too much else showed from the first round of the shot, but it's nice. This one here is pretty much a non-image. It was actually what I was trying to avoid, and I do remember I just, was like, okay, I'll experiment with doing some sort of structure on structure image as well while it's there. And this is kind of the example of why I didn't do it. To me, this is not very interesting. Could it be better? Absolutely. But yeah, just without people, I feel like a lot of the interest is taken away. At least for me personally, I like photographing people. So again, similar thing, can't see the subject, got a statue there. Again, luck of the draw, this one didn't work out. Here's a really good example of something that I definitely made a mistake on. I used a lot of white space in some of these images, and this one's actually kind of funny. The face lines up so hilariously on this building, but you can see that where the white space is on the original image, the second image won't show through. So it's actually an improvement I would make on my next round, is to not use the sky so much. The sky, obviously, in the middle of the day and that sort of thing, can be very overexposed, and it's going to give you a lot of white in the image. Now, if you got really lucky and your subject lined up in that gray or black space of the image, it could be pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, I would use it to minimal effect, unless you are really certain about lining up that second round of shots. Not sure what happened here exactly. Nothing really showed through. Same goes for this one. I can't even make out exactly what was going on here. I do like the trees though. I think they could come to really cool effect if I used it a bit better. Here's an example of just bad portrait composition. I wasn't really framing these portraits up or setting them up in any way. It's actually one improvement you could make, is just actually organizing your portraits and yeah, sort of getting compositions that you actually like. I was just kind of shooting on the fly, things with friends when I was out, etc. Another one where things didn't really work out so well, and to be honest with you, I don't even exactly know why. And same thing again, it's a bit unfortunate. I think I can vaguely make out someone's hair in the background of this image too, but I do want to point out how cool the long exposure at nighttime works. I love the image. If there was a subject somehow in there too, I would be even more stoked as far as double exposure is concerned. So yeah, as I say, something to experiment with for sure. Another one here that things didn't line up perfectly. Can actually also make out the jazz band in the background there, so I shot a couple of shots there obviously. But this one just didn't line up so well. It's a bit messy. This one almost worked. The subjects could pop a little bit more. The structure is nice. I don't know. It's almost there. This one, I just believe there's too much white space. Didn't catch anything of the subject in the background. Again, something I would avoid in the future. Same goes here. You can just see the subject coming through a little bit there in the gray space. If they had more gray space, or dark space, like I said, that would pop through. So something to keep in mind, absolutely something I'll improve on next time. Another non-photo. This one's close, it almost made it through. I don't know what exactly would have made this an improvement, but it is what it is. Same goes here, can't really tell what's going on, a little bit too messy. Maybe that's another thing you can keep in mind, is just that if you're gonna shoot structures or whatever it is that you're gonna put into your base frames, maybe just keep it simple. This one here too, subject just didn't show through. I get a feeling it's also because the middle of the space is just quite bright. This one here, it's sort of there. I mean, it's nothing too amazing, obviously. Got the legs coming through. It was a clothing shoot with some friends, so if you're wondering where that image came from. But yeah, it just didn't line up perfectly. Like I say, luck of the draw. And there's what looks like to be me. I'm most likely shooting that in either a mirror or a window. And I've shot the structural photo in a vertical position. So again, that can be experimental and interesting, but it didn't quite pay out in this case, obviously. Same goes again, too much use of the white space. This one's kind of cool. I don't know if you can really make it out what it exactly is, but it's just a hand holding some flowers. Lines up pretty nicely with the building. It's obviously nothing that I would, make into a print or put in a book or anything like that. But as far as luck is concerned and just getting these images to sort of work out, then this one's not too bad. I like the idea actually a lot better than I like the photo. So again, too much white space there. If there was more gray, the flowers would show a lot more and this would be a far better image. Same goes again for the white space, just completely blocking out a subject here, which is a bit of a shame because I think otherwise this would actually be pretty cool. And that about does it for the results. So you can see that there was nothing absolutely excellent there. I think there's a couple of good photos. I'm not sure if they would make prints or anything like that. Definitely a lot of improvements to make. I think I pointed out most of those and hopefully those help you also. Another thing that I think I need to do in this case is when I shoot the base layer, let's say the base layer is either the architecture, also of course you could go out and shoot things like flowers and stuff. I think what I would like to do is slightly underexpose those so there is more gray space, and even if there is some lighter areas like a bit of sky or some white on a building, for example, that those things get brought down a little bit and then overexpose my second round. So in the cases of the portraits, I think it should, in theory, allow just things like skin tones and stuff to just break through a little bit more. I think that just about does it for this video, but let me know if I should do this again. I will happily go out and shoot a roll of film. I'm all for this channel. You guys let me know what to do and I'll go buy some roll of film. I'll go shoot color, I'll go shoot black and white, see if we can make some improvements and then come back with the results. As I say, hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know. Or just let me know your opinion. Do you have a favorite photo in this lot? Do you think that this was actually worth it, spending the money on a roll of film and going out doing something experimental? Potentially you don't get something so great, but maybe you have a good time. Someone's beeping their horn out there. Or if you've gone out and had a crack at it, leave it in the comments if there's something that I missed, because I would also like to get better at this. I'd definitely like to go out and do it again. So if there's something that you think could help me, chuck it down there. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy creating. Until next time. Peace.